Chris here from Videomaker, and you're watching our review of the Syrp Genie Mini. Are you part of a small crew, or maybe you're a one-man show? Does your work benefit from having lightweight gear? Well, the Syrp Genie Mini is a Bluetooth time-lapse controller with automated panning. It's $250, and well, you can use it to shoot time-lapse and pans, or you can use it to automate your video pans as well. So you can go within and you can start a new time-lapse within the app, and you also have some presets that you can choose from, as well as you can create your own. And then also the same kind of thing for video is you can choose a video mode and then choose a preset or create your own, or just start from scratch. So we started off with packing our bag with all of the equipment we're going to use for this review. So we took out the Sony a6300 with a Sigma MC11 mount converter so that we could use our Canon 24-105 f4 L series glass, as well as the Sigma 24-35 f2 art zoom. So we took it out, and well, it was a hot day and we got all set up. We were in a nice cul-de-sac and we had it all set up to go, and well, we needed to do a firmware update. We hadn't checked. Now, before you start any shoot in any time, you should always have, fresh batteries, clean, and plenty of media. And then you should also, well, make sure everything's up to date. Now that everything can have updates for, firmware of all sorts. So make sure before you go out that all of the peripherals and all the tools that you're using are doing that. Because, well, we had to learn the hard way and sit in the sun while it updated. It wasn't a big deal. It was like 7 minutes, and then it was all updated and ready to go. And so the first thing we did is we decided to do a pan of a roundabout in downtown Chico, and we thought there'd be lots of movement going through. It's also a pretty wide area, and so what we learned is, one, you should bring an ND filter if you want to have any kind of motion blur whatsoever. But then really what we found out is if you do a really big arc with this with the pan, that you're going to end up having an arc if you have the tripod tilted at all. Now, to correct that, Syrp has the ball head here, and then so that way you can flatten it out and actually make it so that your pan is actually level with the horizon. So that was a little bit of a bummer. Now this guy is $110, so it's an added peripheral, but it's nice to have. And then as well, it can be used with the dual setup, which is actually making it so you can have both a pan and a tilt. So they sell them together, so you can go around and then you can also tilt with it, which is really cool. So yeah, we didn't get to use it that way. We just used the one. So we got out there, we set up the time lapse, and we found out that arc was just not right. We were playing with our exposure, and it just wasn't all that interesting of a shot. So we decided to go somewhere else. Now, by this time, the clouds were starting to get a little bit nicer and the sun started to get a little bit better. So we went over to we call the Senator Tower, and the clouds started looking really neat for a time lapse. Now, the full time lapse did an arc as well because we wanted to make sure to get the sky and as well the tower, but it was definitely a better time lapse. But after that, we decided we wanted to deal with not having the arc, so we did a less of a degrees in the actual pan during the automation. So then we changed that, and it made a lot of difference. Now, unfortunately for us, the action just wasn't all that interesting for time lapse. The thing about time lapse is you got to be willing to do a lot of trial and error. Your subject matter might not be doing what you want it to do. You might not have the right exposure for exactly what you're trying to do. But that's the nice thing about the Genie actually having presets. So you could actually do some stuff and you'd be like, what, that's what I like for this given subject. And you can save it. Take a picture of your rig, load it into the app, and wha-bam, you have it and you're ready to go. So that's a really neat thing. We did a lot of different lens changes and trying things, and it was just all about the subject matter. No matter if we had really great operation of our camera, we had the right exposure and everything, if the subject matter just wasn't interesting, well, either was the time lapse, and that should go to speak for anything you shoot. But it worked really good. The one thing we have to say that's a little bit of a bummer is the interval between shots only goes down to 1 second. So you can't go any less than an interval of 1 second. Now, we imagine that's because of the movement of the actual automation there, and you don't want to have it moving while it's taking a picture, so that makes sense. But if you want to do something really fast and do a fast pan where each one of your exposures is letting not a lot of time go past, then you might not be able to get that with this, but that might just be shoot some video and speed it up. So that's really up to you. Now, we did shoot it in video mode as well, and it was really nice. The only problem we'd have to say is that it does make noise. So if you're needing to use the nats from your camera, or if you have an on-camera mic that's set up, you're probably going to hear it. Or if your subject with the mic is close enough to the camera, you might hear it. One of our favorite places to shoot was at VidCon this year. We used it to show some really neat time lapse, and because there was lots of people walking around, lots of big stable things that didn't change, as well as lots of different speed of people moving around. In fact, in one of these, we had a guy taking out the trash and he's kind of stable with everybody going around him. And so we were able to do some really neat time lapse showing people showing up for our booth and then leaving again. It was a really good storyteller. So that's one of the biggest things I'd say when you're using time lapse is to make sure you understand what story you're telling with your time lapse. You know, you're getting to manipulate time here, and not only the passage of time, but how it feels to the audience. So really pay attention to that. But once we got a hang of it, this was a really great product to use. You know, most definitely, if you're going to use it a lot, is the Syrp ball head will really benefit you. And you know, it's really light. So if you are, say, a shooter that goes and is you know, doing lightweight backpacking and having to shoot in remote places, this is going to give you a little extra production value that you weren't going to have before. That's just so easy that it's just not heavy. It can go in your bag. It probably will be able to fit, and most likely you probably have a phone of some sort with you while you're doing that. So what is our recommendation? Should you buy the Syrp Genie Mini? Well, if you can benefit from upping your production value, and it's gonna be real nice because it's automated panning, so when you're shooting video, it's real smooth every time. You know, you definitely need to get the connector cables. It does come with some, but make sure that they're compatible with your camera. You know, it's 250 bucks, but it's worth it. You know, it's so super simple, so it's hard to go, man, that's $250. But you know, it adds a lot of production value, that automated panning, being able to do time lapse, and it's really easy to operate. The app is super intuitive. So absolutely, we'd recommend it. If you're needing, you know, a time-lapse controller, and maybe you're going to be spending $100 anyway on just an intervalometer, maybe you can up it by getting some, you know, automation as well, and so you can actually use it for your video as well. So we would recommend it. It was a lot of fun to use. So there you have it. That's our review of the Syrp Genie Mini. If you'd like to buy one and help support us make videos like these, you can click on the link in the description and you can buy one today. As well, there'll be a link for the ball head and the Sony a6300. As always, like, share, and comment. We want to know what you think. I've been Chris from Videomaker, and until next time, keep doing the hard work that you do. Bye-bye.